Good evening, everyone. I hope all of you are doing well. I'm Satvika Reddy, an IEEE CBIT board member. I welcome everybody present here to the Masterclass by CBIT alumni conducted by IEEE CBIT in collaboration with Transcendent. I'm grateful to share that this is our second episode in our series after a very successful interaction in our first. I thank all the teachers, Mr. G. Mallikarjuna Rao sir and Mr. Arvind Babu sir, and Deepika, President, Pavan Kumar, Vice President, Nishna, Chair of Y, and the entire core committee of IEEE CBIT to give us such an amazing opportunity with which tons of students in our college will be more prepared for this placement season. So now I welcome our speaker for today, Anjana Baika, who is pass out from CBIT in the year 2019. She bagged a placement in the 7th semester in Deloitte, India, and works as a business technology analyst. She interned at Tata Consultancy Services and was a hardworking volunteer for UNICEF. Hello, Anjana.
Hi, Satvika.
Hi. How was your day? How have you been?
It's good so far. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction.
Yeah, it's a great honor for us that you came over here and you're helping. Like this will help a lot of people because the Deloitte recruitment is going to start shortly. If I'm not wrong, it's this Tuesday. So how has your quarantine been?
Uh, it's been mixed, really. Good some days, not so good on the others. But yeah, I'm trying to manage working from home and having a life at home. Yeah.
So, like, since you're working at home now, like, what do you think working at home is better, or like with your colleagues, or the environment at home? Like, which do you prefer more?
I am one of those people who prefers the office. Uh, it's not like I hate working from home, but I prefer the office environment for work because firstly we have everyone around us, so it's a lot easier to get things done. There's a lot less time you have to spend on calls and talking and explaining. So, and also I miss the office. I miss the amenities. It's nice to have a workplace different from home.
Even in the beginning, like we all were like, "Oh my God, holidays!" But now we all of us really want to go back to college and meet everybody and see faces like after like so long.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So before like we jump into any technical or serious questions, I would like to know your journey into getting placed at Deloitte.
Okay. So I was placed in Deloitte through the campus placements itself. So Deloitte in my year was, I think, one of the first companies which came to campus. So we first had the written exam. It was conducted by the AMCAT vendor in my year. So we had a normal written exam with aptitude and verbal and some logical reasoning questions, I think. So after that, like they screen people from there, and then we had a jam session. So they divided us into like groups of 8 or 9 people, and a topic was given and you have to speak on that for a minute. And then they filtered people from there again, and then we had the round for personal interviews. So that was basically a one-on-one interview. So we did not have a separate HR or technical interview. We just had one. So technical and HR was covered in the same one. We just had like one interview. And yeah, at the end of the day, they just announce whoever they have given the placements.
So in your year, how many people were recruited by Deloitte?
In our year, I think 35 were recruited, and of them, I think 24 actually joined office.
Okay, that's great. That's like a huge number. So
Yeah.
yeah, so there are three rounds, right? Basically
Yes, yes.
from your okay. So I've heard that Deloitte is expanding and recruiting more people, like while other companies are, not, and they're just laying off. So what is your take on this? Like, is this true or it's just
So one thing that I will say is Deloitte is definitely looking to hire. Like we have a lot of offices coming up in Hyderabad right now. So Deloitte has its first like office of Deloitte is in Hyderabad. We don't have offices in other places. Like they're all leased or they are rented. So the first construction for Deloitte office is in Hyderabad. So right now we have like towers coming up in like Gachibowli area. I think like most of you would have seen those towers if you're like passing through those areas. So there are they are looking to hire, but I'm not sure if the pandemic will have any impact on their decision. But I'm thinking it will not affect it that bad. They will still hire.
okay? So when Deloitte comes to our college for recruitment, uh, other than the role of a BTA, will they offer any other roles for the students?
Yeah, so actually, when Deloitte comes for hiring, they roll out the job profiles before they come. So at our time, we had two profiles which we rolled out. One was for tax and one is for consulting. So tax was eligible only for CS and IT because they needed people with a coding background for that particular role. And consulting was open to CS, IT, EC, and AAA. So consulting is more of a what do you call it? It's more of a client facing role, whereas in tax they need a stronger development side to a person. So it depends on the role. It depends on the profile that they are looking for.
Okay, so since you said CS and IT can apply for both, so will they be able to apply for both simultaneously, or like should they have to stick to one profile?
Yeah, so you have to. I think you have a decision. Like once you're placed, like once you're selected, you can opt for either one of them.
Okay, so this happens after they're placed, like not before,
Right, right.
not
Yeah.
through the recruitment process.
Yeah. So actually, so once you give the exam, once you clear the exam, the interview process for both of them will be different because obviously one has to gauge your technical skills and the other has to look for both of them. So depending on that, the interview process differs. So once you clear the written round, then you decide which side you want to go for.
Okay, all right.
So, in answering your question, actually, in Deloitte, the first level that freshers are hired at is a business technology analyst. But depending on your vertical or your role, the name may change, but it is still like the same level.
Okay, that's great. They'll give more opportunities to students, like
Yeah.
whatever field they're good at. So, what exactly is the role of a business technology analyst? Like,
Uh,
you're working on it. Yeah.
Okay. So, a business technology analyst so I am in consulting right now. So basically, consultants differ from developers in the sense that consultants are more in the they are more in client facing roles, which is the projects which are handed to these set of this part of the vertical in Deloitte are usually deal with clients. So, a business technology analyst, the roles or the day to day tasks or the work you do depends a lot on which project you're in and which technology you're in. So, a BTA can be doing several different things depending on where he or she is placed in the company. So, like I can give you more information about what I am doing, but then that will probably be different from a BTA who's in another vertical in the same company.
Okay. So, is it okay for you to disclose like what you do?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's just technology that I'm going to be telling you about. So there's no project details or anything that I can say. So I basically work in Deloitte. So we have different verticals, right? So I'm in consulting and I'm in customer and marketing. So inside customer and marketing, so I'm in a project. I'm in the vertical called Assets and Solutions Group. So here, this is Deloitte's first venture into product development. Deloitte, as you all know, is a service based company, but this is its first venture into product development. So I'm in one of those projects. So we work on Salesforce technology, and I'm in the industry which is life sciences and healthcare. So we are basically building a product which can be used in hospitals. So to build that product, we are using Salesforce technology. So basically, on an everyday basis, like if you ask me, I use Salesforce technology and tasks are given and we accomplish those and it goes into finally building a bigger product.
I don't really know much of this. I'm just a third year
Yeah,
student.
I think that's way too many new terms.
Yeah, I hope everybody who's watching this is understanding it at least.
Yeah, I just try to give like a overall
Yeah.
idea of things. Yeah. Yeah,
So,
you'll definitely like understand and learn more once you actually start talking to more people or actually get into the ecosystem. Then you will begin to understand. Yeah, it took me some time too, so don't be thrown off if you don't catch a lot of terms in the beginning. It's all completely okay.
okay, so since there's a tax profile, right, other than BTA, so is it open for EC students too, or is it only for
Uh,
CSC and IT?
No, for us, like when Deloitte was hiring at our year, it was open only for CS and IT.
Okay. Okay. So, like, what specific traits do you think the recruiters look in when they're checking your resume or something like that?
I will say one of the biggest things that Deloitte looks for is good communication skills. Because, like, at the end of the day, Deloitte is a service based company and they need consultants who can talk well. So, as much as it is a technical company, they still look for people who are very good at communication. And one more thing that I would say any company looks for, like in a resume, is how good you are at adapting to different situations. Because, like, see, honestly speaking, we're all like, I was a fresher a year ago. So I know that not everybody, like, not all of us have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge per se in the specific technology that they need. So you should be able to adapt yourself in whatever situation they place you in, to be able to learn, to be able to grasp things fast. So it's okay even if you don't know a lot of stuff, but you should be having that willingness to learn. So having good communication skills, being adaptable, having the will to learn. And one more thing that I would say is, showing leadership skills. So if you're a part of any clubs or organizations, that really adds to a resume.
So, more than technical stuff, they look into all of this,
Yeah, so
like more
technical,
weightage.
technical skills, even after they hire you, they can teach you.
Okay.
So that is still like, what you learn in college will not be what you do at your workplace. There will be a lot of difference. So they look for people who are good at understanding, good at solving problems. It's more about the approach and how you think that comes into picture. So yeah, they will definitely test you on technical skills, but if you cross that, the average line or like the baseline which everybody is supposed to know, you'll be good. Like,
So, like, since everything is virtual now, and there is a jam round too, like as you said, like how do you think the process of jam round will be now? Like, will it be a one-on-one thing, or like everybody together on a Zoom call, or anything like that? What do you think?
that's a really good question, but I'm not sure I know the answer to that because I don't know how they're going to do it. So I'm just assuming that they'll probably divide students into like groups of say 8 or 10, because it would be really difficult to handle like may say 80 or 90 people together on one player, like in one call or something. So I'm assuming that they'll probably divide you in groups, and then probably group wise it'll go. I'm thinking it could be done that way,
So,
because that is
like,
the closest
way of doing it.
how it comes to, yeah, like how if you would do it in a real scene, that is the
Yeah.
closest.
So, how like, how do you what like on what factors do you think the judges judge you in the jam round? Like, how do you think the students should be presenting the content in the jam round?
Okay. So I will say one thing about the jam round that I think is very important. It's not about what you say, but how you say that matters. So even though you think that your points are not very strong or not very to the point, it's okay. You need to be confident, and you need to uh, speak properly, not have a lot of fillers in between, and stick to your opinion which you begin with, or your whatever side, like whatever you're agreeing or disagreeing. Don't contradict your own points, because that comes off as a very wrong thing. So be careful, be mindful, like run through whatever you're going to talk, at least in points. Think of that. Be confident, speak well. And also one more thing is, do not stop very much before time or extend way beyond. So if it is it's called just a minute because you're supposed to speak for a minute. So if you stop like 5 seconds or 10 seconds before, it's okay. Or if you extend, plus or minus is fine. But you cannot just stop at 20 seconds or go way beyond 2 minutes or something like that. That is really frowned upon in a jam session.
Okay. So, like, will the topics for the jam session be like technical or non-technical? Like, what do you think the students should expect?
So the topics are usually technical, but they are more of how technology affects society. So that sort of a thing. So during our year, we had topics like will machines take the place of people, or will AI rule out more jobs than it creates, or how is AI used in everyday world, something like that. So you might need to have a little bit of technical knowledge, because if you cannot just go and speak without knowing what AI is, or without knowing what machines are doing and all of that. So technical knowledge is needed, yes, but not in an extreme level. So the topics are kind of technical, but have a, societal spin
Right.
to it, sort of thing.
Okay, so will they be given like a little bit of time to prepare, like after they give the topic, or is it
Yeah,
like
I
on
think
spot,
I'm
or
sorry.
is it like on spot? Is what.
So they announce the topic, and I think you get probably, I think, a minute or 2 minutes, and then you have to speak.
That's
So I
hard.
think like everybody, like they have the sheets, I think they maintain. So you get to pick a number, and whatever is against that number, you have to speak on that. So not everybody will get the same topic. It's not like one topic everybody speaks. It's not like
Mhm.
that. Everybody gets a separate one.
Okay, so they should just speak like on a broader note about what that topic is.
Yeah, yeah.
So, my next question is, what are the major technical skills that are required to crack an interview?
Okay. Uh, so technically, they will definitely look for strong concepts of object oriented programming. So that is something that is seen everywhere. So oops concepts, the major keywords which are used, like what is polymorphism, or what is data abstraction, stuff like that. Those are like the basic things which are always asked. And data structures and algorithms which we have, like the different data structures which are used, what is used, like why do we use this, what are the advantages of this over that, some comparison, that sort of a thing. And databases, I will say just the very basic stuff, not too much in detail, but like basic stuff is definitely needed. And one more thing I will say is technical questions usually come from the projects which you mention in your resume. So be mindful that whatever projects you have written in your resume, you know them in and out, because they will definitely ask you questions based on that. And you can guide the technical questions depending on how much you know. Like you can answer them and guide the interview in such a way that you can answer the technical questions. So what I listed are like very basic things which are asked in any technical interview for a CS person. But the deeper you go, they will definitely be on your projects related technologies, or whatever it is you worked on.
And like when they ask us technical questions, like how concise do you think our responses should be to them? Like, having an overall view on them is fine, or like does he have to be knowledgeable in and out about that topic?
So it depends again on what topic it is. So see, if it is going to be something about like say backend APIs and all of that, if you have a basic knowledge, it's enough. But if you do not know in and out of, like, say, pointers or basic array structures, that is a bad thing. So the basic concepts, you need to know them pretty well. But if they are newer concepts or higher level coding things, then it's okay to not know everything. And also when you're unsure of things, it's better to say that, instead of telling wrong things, or saying the wrong things confidently. Acknowledge or accept that I do not know this, or I do not know the answer to this question. It's okay to do that in interviews. It's not looked at as a bad thing. In fact, it will come off as a good thing, that somebody is accepting that they don't know something and they're willing to learn.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so in like you mentioned about data structures and stuff, like our college teaches us to, like we have that in our curriculum. So do you think that is enough, or people have to do some courses externally on data structures?
So coming to Deloitte, I think that is more than enough. Like whatever we learn in college, we cover a lot. So I would just suggest go back and brush up on those things, because I think, I mean, when I was there, we did it in our second year. I remember it was in like second year, first semester. So by the time you're in fourth year, first semester, you don't remember a lot of those things, and you kind of look over the basics. So it's better to brush up on whatever syllabus we have. I think you should be good with that.
Okay. So, like, I think, I don't know if I'm correct or not, but is Deloitte the only company which has a HR plus technical round together?
I'm not sure about that actually. I'm really not sure.
Like, when it was your time of recruitment, was that the thing?
Um, so I did not, I sat for I think only two or three other companies and they had separate HR and technical rounds. So I'm not sure if there were any other companies which had a combined interview like this, but the other companies that I sat for had different, like separate interviews for technical and HR.
Okay. So, okay, so there's this basic question that interviewers ask once you sit. Tell me about yourself.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
how should a person's answer be? Like, what are they supposed to say about themselves?
Yeah, I think any once anyone asks you that question, you completely forget. You're like, who am I? You get into that. So I would say, uh, be very concise on this. Don't get into too much detail, and don't end it with why you're here for the job. Okay, don't do that at all. Tell me about yourself. Just imagine how you would be talking to a very normal person or some person you've met newly and you're just introducing yourself. So I think you can just go by, saying that I think you can skip that you study in Chaitanya Bharati Institute of Technology because they know they are sitting in the college. So I mean, not right now, but they don't go with what is on your resume and don't go with very trite details. Like be creative if you can, and talk about things or tell them things that they do not know and which are not there in the resume. So this can be a little informal, I think. So it depends on what do you call, just make it very short but very nice. Yeah. And one more thing I will say is, please do not learn the answer to this and tell it like that, one after another. Do not do that, because these people who are taking your interviews, they have interviewed tons of students and people before us. So the minute you start blabbering stuff like you've buttified something, they will get to know. So don't do that. Even if you're prepared, keep it in points in your mind and talk like have a normal conversation. Don't go into question answer mode.
I would definitely do that. I just start
Yeah.
writing off whatever I'm going to say.
Yeah, because that happens a lot. Yeah, a lot of people do that. They're like, everybody prepares, I'm this, I'm that. Everybody has that whole thing
Yeah.
memorized. So even if you memorize, at least act like you're not telling it out. Be smart in that.
So, like EC students, I don't think they have data structures in their curriculum or anything. Like, how do you think they should be preparing for it?
Okay, so I think you can start with like the basics. So if you have, there is a book called Data Structures and Algorithms by Narasimha Karumanchi. I think if I remember the name correctly. So it's a very famous book and it's basically all data structures and their applications in you have in code snippets and examples and um, very crisp and small manner which you can read and understand easily. So for EC students and Triple E students right now, I will say just kind of try to understand the basics of them, like what are data structures, what are the different kinds of data structures you have, and how each of them work. Like you have stacks, queues, trees. So what is the difference between them and how do they work? That is enough. And one more thing is, since you are coming from an EC or Triple E background, the interviewer might or might not get into technical detail. It depends entirely on the interviewer in this. So if they kind of expect that then the interview will go technical. But if they expect that it's okay that they do not know too much in detail, then it's fine. So depends a lot on the interviewer who's doing the interview.
Okay. So, like, I don't know if this question is redundant or not, but everybody wants to know, like, what is the percentage of technical and HR questions in the interview? Like, what do you think they should focus more on?
Okay. So, see, no two interviews will be the same. So there is no fixed percentage that they will ask that, we'll have 10 technical questions, we'll have 5 HR questions. It's never like that. So the thing is, the people who take your interviews are very experienced. So for some people, they go on for half an hour, 45 minutes. For other people, they get done in 5 or 7 minutes. And we had cases when both of them got into Deloitte. So it really does not there is no fixed agenda. They just have like, a criteria of things that they need to go through to understand whether this person sitting in front of me will be able to work in an environment in Deloitte. That is all that they're looking for. So technical, I will say, uh, like if you have to actually come down to it and say, how many questions were actually asked. So I can tell you like my experience. I had projects and I had an internship. So the technical questions that I got were based only on that. So whatever project that I did, like he asked me, how did you implement this, or what did you use, or what will you do differently given that this did not work, something like that. And HR is again, they are very basic HR questions. They are not very complex, or you don't have to like wring your mind and all of that. It's basic, interacting with people, managing situations, those kind of things. So I will say, probably like, if you were taking my interview, then probably around like 60% questions were technical and 40 was HR. But then again, see, when you ask me a technical question, the way I respond to it is then again HR,
Yeah.
that aspect comes into place. And how you respond, how you're approaching the problem, that all again, they're all interconnected, I'm saying. So don't stress too much on technical and HR. Don't try to separate the two. Just, have a basic idea on the technical concepts, and remember to speak with confidence. I think that is the more important part.
Okay. So, like, since you already mentioned that the questions will be on the projects which you mentioned in the resume, so if a person has the knowledge about the project, about whatever things he did in the project, his contribution in the project, is that enough, or like should he have an overall view about every topic that is covered in the project?
So, I mean, these projects, I mean, they are usually done either by one or two people, right?
Yeah,
Are these the same things, or are you talking about something else?
it's the projects which we do.
Mini projects and
Yeah,
all which
mini
we do, right?
projects.
Yeah. So, you need to have an overall idea, I would say. Like, I mean, if they ask some question, you cannot tell I didn't do this, my teammate did it. So, you need to have a overall idea at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So, uh, I don't know if this is there or not. It's a question from the audience. So,
Okay.
how is the cybersecurity domain in Deloitte, and how is the hiring of this domain?
Okay. So I do not have a lot of knowledge on this, honestly, but I keep seeing mails and all about it. So I would say it is like definitely growing, but I don't know if they directly hire freshers into that department yet. I mean, in my friends, I do not know anybody who is a part of that, vertical as such.
Okay. So, and just a question. So, this thing is, like for applying for Deloitte, you need to be from a circuit branch, right?
Right.
So if there's, suppose, say a person from chemical or something, biotechnology or chemical, and say he has some basic knowledge of coding, so like if he is interested in it, will he be allowed to apply?
Uh, I don't know how flexible Deloitte is with the eligibility criteria, but I don't think that they allow, like at least in our college, I don't think it works like that. Like Deloitte gives the specification, and people only from those branches are eligible to apply.
Okay.
I mean, I think if these people are really interested, then I think you can definitely go off campus and apply. So that is always there. That option is always there. But when it comes to campus placements, I think this would be a better question for your for the HRs, or like the I think the placement office which coordinates. If they ask them, then I'm not sure. Maybe they make exceptions if the student is really very interested and very good. They might.
Okay. So the first round, the aptitude, which includes logical, quantitative reasoning, like how do you think people should prepare? Like from where do you suggest them to prepare?
Okay, so that's a very important question, and also a very important thing that most people miss. So the thing is, Deloitte and usually any company for that matter, when they have these written exams, right? The vendor for them is usually you can get to know if you ask them. So I would suggest first find out who the vendor is. So at our time it was AMCAT. So AMCAT, you have a lot of these online materials which are available. I myself had contacted my seniors at that point, and I got a lot of PDF documents. I collected like this whole question bank, and I prepared through all of them. So instead of just going and blindly practicing aptitude questions or problems, I would suggest go by the vendor, find out who the vendor is and practice problems from their websites or from their online portals, whatever, if you find, or ask your seniors, because the most recently graduated ones will have a better idea. Ask them if they have any resources, or ask them if they have any idea about where their questions were from. That will be a very good thing, because I remember for my year I had practiced from these AMCAT papers, and there were a lot of questions which came in the exam as well. So it's a good thing to know the vendor and practice from there, because the patterns will remain the same. And if you're lucky, maybe you will see some of the same questions as well. So it's always better to find the vendor and practice. And one more thing is, do not be overconfident, because as we are all engineering students, we have done MPC in intermediate. We tend to think that this is all too easy for us. But take it from me, I was in the same place and I thought this is not that difficult, I can do this. But we have to also remember that it's been 4 years, close to 4 years or 3 years, that
Yeah.
we have come from that intermediate practice of sitting and solving problems in a time limit. All of our semester exams are written answers, like the question and answers we write all in big paragraphs. We do not have this time thing. We do not have multiple choice. We lose touch on those things. So even if you're able to solve them, but you do not do it in the limited time, then there is no point. So you need to get a grip on your concepts, brush up your basics, and what do you call, practice within time, like have timed tests and practice. So there is this app called Pocket Aptitude, which I will suggest, like if all of you are not aware of it. It's a very good, it's a mobile application. And one of my seniors told me about this, and I still have it on my phone until now, because it's so it's so handy. So you basically have all the concepts which usually come in aptitude exams in different kind of buckets. So each bucket has the related problems and related formulae associated with it. So those, like if you go through that, it's more than enough, like it covers all of the basic things in one place. So if you have books, go through them, or if you want like a easier way out, go through these apps. Yeah, I think you should be good if you just practice your basics and learn to time yourself.
Yeah, like since you said like nobody will, just be like, oh my god, I did MPC, I wouldn't need to, do all this. So do you think a 1-2 weeks of preparation right before the aptitude test will suffice, or does it have to be a year-long thing, like
No,
on a
I think,
timely
yeah,
basis?
yeah, I think 1 2 weeks is more than enough.
Okay.
Yeah, see, they're going to be very basic questions. They're not going to be that difficult. So it's going to be a relative thing. It's not about how well you did. It's about how well everybody did. Because the top ones are going to get in, and there will be some mark above which they're going to pick people. So it's not just about your performance. It's the relative performance that is going to determine whether you're on the other side or this side. So
That's a relief to me. I
yeah.
don't have to start preparing from now.
Yeah.
So, what all clubs have you been a part of when you were in CBIT? Like,
Okay. So in college, I was a part of COSC, which was the CBIT Open Source Community.
yeah,
So I was the vice president of that when I was in my third year. Uh, so that was one of the clubs I was a part of. I was also a part of Street Cause CBIT. I was a part of it for 2 years, I think. So outside of college, I was like a part of other, NGOs and all. I volunteered in like quite a few places. So I was a volunteer at MAD for a year. Then, then because of academics and all of that, I had to leave. Then I'm back now again with MAD. It's been like this is my third year in MAD now. So I'm still, so MAD stands for Make a
yeah,
Difference.
I
Yeah.
know.
So I was with MAD, and yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head right now, but
Okay. Yeah, that's enough.
this is it.
Yeah. So, what all experiences from college life like actually ended up, being useful with respect to your placement?
Uh, it's a whole. I mean, there is. It's going to be like a very holistic thing. Like my answer is going to sound very cliched, but I think every experience that you have, in some way, it contributes. because like it's not just the academics that are going to put you, put you apart from the others, but the whole experience of college, of being a part of clubs, of attending classes, of taking up responsibility, of doing things. So I think one of the biggest factors I would say is the classes, like definitely the data structures class that we had, and C++ concepts that we learned. Those things, they those examples I still remember, and when somebody asks me to explain, I still use the examples that my sirs used to give me. So that is something that is always going to remain with you. And the other thing that I would say CBIT has definitely, put me apart from the others is in terms of clubs. So the more you're associated with extracurriculars, the more you're, putting yourself out there, be it just a volunteer or being the president of a club. The fact that you are doing something apart from academics, you are managing, so it teaches you a lot of things. You learn how to manage time, you learn how to manage responsibilities. Because I remember in college, if we were a part of one club, we have to ask attendance in the class, we have to ask attendance from the HOD. So you learn how to manage, you learn how to get things done. And when you're responsible for, say, hosting an event, you learn so many things in that process. So all of that definitely helps. And also, it's not just going to help you to crack the interview per se, but you will also learn a lot of, like, you will learn that all of this also gives you an edge when you join the company. Like, because I see how different, or how our CBIT alumni are compared to the other people. So all of us were placed like in from college. So our placements and the college placements for other colleges happen at the same time. So the environment and the projects and all of that, they differ depending on the college you come from. So all of that is definitely going to like make a huge difference. So yeah, CBIT has been like a very a very pushing factor for where I am right now also. It's not just the placement and you push it, you think you get in Deloitte and you get rid of CBIT. It's not like that.
Okay. Okay, so since you said you're a part of MAD, our previous speaker was also a part of MAD.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
does it like, is there anything that, makes MADsters stand out?
I would like to say yes, but yeah, no. Being honest, I think so. Mad personally, I got to know about it. So I remember now. I was a part of another organization called HYA. So it's called the Hyderabad Youth Assembly, and I was a member on it for a year when I was in my first year in college. So yeah, when I was in my first year, I was always looking out and what else is happening in college, where else can I go, what else can I do. So that's how I found out about HY, and then that's from there I got to know about MAD. So make a difference. I mean, I don't know if it's about the people, but yeah, um, I joined Make a Difference because I personally believe in their mission and in the their vision of things, and their ideas and all of that. So Make a Difference, I will say, has definitely shaped me a lot as a human being, definitely a lot. And also through the entire year, last year I was volunteering, and even though I worked 5 days a week, the one Sunday that I so in Make a Difference, basically we used to go to shelter homes and teach kids on Sundays. It goes on for an entire year, like one academic year, you're supposed to be with the kids. And we spend like 3 or 4 hours every Saturday or Sunday. So that was one thing that I always looked forward to through my, last entire year. Because uh, even though you have things to do, sometimes life gets really monotonous and busy and you get tired. So Make a Difference in that way has you know always been that pushing factor for me. And we had a lot of sessions, and we had a lot of introspection and all of that that happens in the sessions over there. So that has definitely changed how I look at things, and I think that also shaped me a lot into how I respond, how I react to things at my workplace even. And another fact I will tell you, there are a lot of people from Deloitte in Make a Difference. So if you either get placed in Deloitte or you're in MAD, you're definitely going to find people from Deloitte.
Okay. That's the first thing I'll do now. I'll just go and apply for MAD.
Yeah, yeah. I think we will have recruitments pretty soon. I will like let you guys know.
Yeah, please let us know. Okay, so like since many people like me, I'm a third year student, haven't started preparing for placements. So with a person with like basic coding knowledge, do you think it's too late to start now?
Not really, no. I mean, see, it's never too late to start. If you want to sound very rhetorical and all of that, but then see, you're just in your third year. I mean, you've just begun your third year, right? You're
Yeah,
in 3-1 right now.
yeah,
Yeah, so you have like 2 semesters. That's like an entire year. So I would say more than preparing for placements or preparing for getting into companies, I will say equip yourself with technical skills, equip yourself with knowledge that you can be used anywhere. It's not just about cracking an interview, but learn things. That is more important. So in that process, you will definitely stand out, and that will help you in your placements. So it's definitely not too late. And for people who are from EC or Triple E who want to like begin in their third year, I would say just start with basic C, C++, and you can go from there. I think if you just ask your friends who are from CSE or IT, borrow their books or textbooks from the library, it's more than enough.
so do you suggest any specific online courses or resources, which will help students to start preparing from now on?
Um, So I would say start from the very basics. So if you have like a good grip on your basics, then go for advanced things. But don't directly jump into learning Python without knowing C++. So just because things are sounding fancy, don't get into them without learning the basics. Because you see once that programming languages are all about syntax. So once you learn the logic and the problem solving, syntax is something that you can even look up in the internet and do. So you need to understand how problems are being solved, how to approach problems, and all of that. So see, courses wise, I will say Coursera I think has really good courses. So you can definitely look into those if you're really interested. And apart from that, for basics, I will say I have learned all my coding and technical skills only from our courses, like college curriculum and textbooks. So I remember I think textbooks by Balaguru Swami, like C, C++, those are like the standard ones. And see, the reason that they are so good is because they explain things a certain way, and that is something that is understood by a lot of people. So I will say stick to the basic textbooks, and I think our teachers would be better people to ask about this because they know of a lot more resources.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for basics and all of that, definitely reach out to your teachers and ask them. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And as I mentioned, that Data Structures and Algorithms by Narasimha Karumanchi, that's one book that I have read through entirely.
Okay.
So it definitely gives you a lot of idea, especially for people who are in CS and IT. I would definitely suggest going through that at least once before your, core technical interviews for other companies as well.
Okay. So, out of a job in Deloitte or any company and an admit to a university abroad, like, what do you suggest the student should consider doing? Like, even irrespective of him doing MS, like, he wants to do MS either way. Like, what do you suggest that person to do?
So uh, I have like a certain opinion on this. So see, the reason that I think you need to step back and ask yourself why you're doing this. Why are you taking a job, or why do you want to study? Okay, that is the first basic thing, because when the reason becomes clear, you know what to go for. So I have a mentor, like in Deloitte we all have mentors. So my mentor, like, this was one gem of knowledge that I will share. That he told me that it's not about degrees or certificates; it's about the skills that you get. So even if you're looking for a, like, say you're looking at a job and an MS admit, look at what skills you're going to get through each of them, and which one of those skills is more important for you, which you want to get, like which is the one which you want yours to equip yourself with. So if you think that you can get the same skills by doing a job, go for it. If you think that doing an MS will give you those skills, then that is the option. But one thing that I will say is work experience definitely does add to, profiles. If you apply after working for 1 or 2 years, like that definitely does apply. And also if it is from an MNC like Deloitte, which is very well known, even like, internationally, even in other countries and all of that, if you have a work experience from a place like that, being a full-time employee for like even 1 year, that definitely adds to your profile. So even that's the thing. So even when you're on your job, it's not like you're ending your learning. The learning is going to always be there. It's just about what you're learning, like what skills do you want from the MS or from the job you want to join. So you need to be clear on that and then decide.
So, once a student gets placed, like what kind of projects do the freshers get assigned to? Like an overall view.
uh, so that's a very it's a very, vast question. So the thing is, I'll just outline the process and then you'll see why I'm saying this. So once you get hired, we are all assigned to a different, resource managers, they're called. So these people basically manage the resources. So wherever there is a requirement and wherever there is a need for certain skill set, you will be pushed into that. So it entirely depends on the cohort you're going in and the requirement that they have. So depending on your skills and on the project needs, you'll be placed. And that is very different for, different sets. So I'll tell you, with our batch, what happened, when we were all placed, all of us were trained in Salesforce. So we were trained in college. We had our training from February onwards, February, March, April, May, like that. We had like 1 week per month. We had that sort of a thing. So this was again something that Deloitte tried for the very first time, called Deloitte Force. They wanted to train people in college, and then they assigned us to projects, and we started working from day one. From day one, we were on projects and we were working. So if you look at your friends, or if you ask people from other companies, they usually are on bench for the beginning 1 month or something, or they are trained on job for 2 3 months and then they're placed. So see, the kind of projects or the kind of work that you do is very dependent, and sometimes I would say it's luck, the projects that you get into. So the only thing is, when you're intimated about the projects and all, you can speak to the managers, you can speak to the leads and all, see what kind of a project it is, see what is your expectation, what is their expectation, and if it doesn't match, you can go back and say, I don't want to work in this, like please assign me to something else. So that option is there. But until unless you get into it, even like you don't know, because our seniors were placed in SAP, some of them were placed in some other roles, so it varies a lot.
But it's pretty flexible later on if you're not
Yeah,
into
yeah,
the
it
project.
is, it is.
So, to what extent did your internship at TCS help you to get to work well with Deloitte and to get placed?
um it definitely did, like to a good amount, because I think the way, the environment that we're in college and the environment that is at a workplace, especially a corporate, uh, be it like TCS or Deloitte, there is a lot of difference between them. So interviewers or recruiters, when they look at your profile and they see that you have already been exposed to a certain kind of a corporate environment, they see that as a good thing, because they know that that's one less thing that they have to worry about in a certain way. Because you're not just your Deloitte is not going to be your very first experience, is how they're going to see it, because you have some experience, you know how things work, at least at the basic level. So it does have a good impact. And the working, like the way you work and all of that also, it gives you a certain base. But again, I will say, the environment at TCS and the environment at Deloitte are very vastly different. So even though I had an idea about that, I did not expect Deloitte to be how good and how different it was from TCS. So yeah.
So, like, do you suggest the present students to, do some technical internship and have an experience for, getting a better impact and edge over others to get into the company or
Yeah,
any?
yeah, I think that definitely does make a good impact if you have an internship. So if you can, and if you if you have the time, if you have the flexibility to do internships, definitely go for it. Actually, at our time there were very less people who did internships. I think at that point this whole concept was just starting, and I think after our year I don't know if it became mandatory or what, but then more students started doing internships. So yeah, I think right now a lot of people already have been doing internships, so it will definitely be a good thing if you have an experience.
They made it compulsory for us, like it's virtual
Oh,
right now, so they
okay.
asked everybody to do virtual internships.
That's really great. Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
have a good exposure before you actually get into a full time. It's definitely good.
Okay. So, what do you personally think was the highlight or spotlight trait that helped you get into Deloitte?
Uh, I would
Don't
say
be
it
modest.
was. I honestly don't know, like if you ask me like that, but then I think it would be based on the being the vice president of CRC. I think that was like a major point because there were like I think half of my interview was based on that. Like, he kept asking, like, he asked me quite a few questions about what is this club, what do you do, what did you do, how did you contribute, what situations did you face, and all of that. So, um, having um, having skills apart from only concentrating on academics, I think the balance is what is going to, like, look definitely good. So I, I mean, I'm not sure. See, I cannot tell for sure because this is just my version of it. I'm not sure what they saw, but then that was definitely one of the things.
Okay. So, how do you think you know, how did you personally grow in Deloitte? Like the work environment over there, like how do you think your growth rate was at that place?
Yeah. So this is, one great thing about Deloitte is that you learn a lot. So one thing is, if you see, we're all like, I was a fresher a year ago, so we're all freshers, and the amount of learning you're going to do on your first job is going to be tremendous. It has to be tremendous, otherwise you are like in a wrong place. So I have personally learned a lot, like not just in terms of like technologies or technical skills per se, but a lot of other stuff as well. So I had a really good team, and I think it's really important how your first manager is, how your first team is. It does play a major role. You think it's all about the work you do, but it's not always like that. The more you're in the corporate world, you realize that it's more about communication. It's more like you have to have those skills if you need to get work done, if you need to stand out in the team, if you need to contribute properly. So I think having very good leadership and having very good the support that I had from my team was really great. So like I told you, this was Deloitte's first venture into product development, and the fact that they had freshers in such a venture is in itself, it shows that they are willing to place their bets on you and say, do this, we believe in you. It's that sort of a thing. So I was honestly surprised when I got to learn about this project in the first place when I was placed, and I doubted. I'm like, will I be able to, deliver to their expectations? Because I'm just starting out. I have no idea. And people in my team had like 8 or 9 years of experience, and I just graduated from college. So it was overwhelming. It was like a little scary, but then my team leads were really helpful. Everybody is there to support you, there to mentor you. So I have grown a lot in the last 1 year that I have been here.
That's really great. I mean, that's true. Like, when you work, you learn more rather than, just getting scared about it beforehand.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we're almost getting to the end of this questionnaire. So,
Okay.
with only a few days left for the placement process, what do you suggest the students focus on right now?
So one thing I would suggest is brush up on your aptitude skills. because you don't want to lose out on a good company just because of a written aptitude test. That is not something that you want to miss out on. So definitely brush up on your aptitude skills. Um, be mindful of how you present your resumes. So this is something that I would want to really, warn you guys is do not put things on your resume without being sure about them, and do not lie in your resume because they will definitely ask. And if in your hobbies you're going to put reading books, they will ask you what books you read. So don't be very careful of how your resume is structured, what you put in your resume, and expect questions from your resume. So it is basically, you are giving the interviewer your own question paper. You can look at it that way. So be careful and be very, thorough on all of the projects that you've listed, everything that you've listed on that. So I remember when I was giving my interview, he asked me for the database table columns in one of my projects, which I did in my second year. So we do our projects from 2-1 itself in IT. So, and then I was lost. I'm like, I don't even remember the database column names. Like he asked me in that detail, and I'm like, okay. So be careful. Keep your resume updated. See properly whatever you're adding. See that you remember all of that stuff. And one more thing that I will suggest is be emotionally strong, especially in this time when everything is so uncertain around us. It takes a toll on you. So don't get disheartened. If this is not going to be it, there is definitely going to be something else. So be emotionally strong. That I have seen a lot, especially it happens every year. I mean, every year, we'll have 1 year, fourth years will be there for placements. So you need to keep your morale up. I mean, do whatever you do to, keep yourself positive and all of that. So yeah, if it's like just three things, focus on your aptitude, brush up on your technical skills, keep your resume updated, and be very thorough on it, and be emotionally strong.
So, like to end on a positive note, what were your favorite memories in CBIT?
Uh, in CBIT, okay. Uh, I have a lot of memories actually. So I think my favorite ones would be definitely the times during literati and the fest that we have. So I personally love writing and reading and all of that. So I really enjoyed those programs and sessions. And I remember when I was in my year, we had this session from TTT, Terribly Tiny Tales, and I was a huge fan of that back then. So that is like one memory I always remember. I remember attending that session. I remember writing poetry and all of that. So yeah, that is one of the, very close to my heart.
I mean, that's probably when everybody enjoys the most, like bunking classes and then just go off and enjoy as much as you can. So, okay, that wraps up our questions, Anjana. I can definitely tell you that the session was very informative. I once again thank you so much for joining us today on such a short notice, and I can't emphasize on like how grateful we all are that you took time off your busy schedule and gave your valuable insights to all the students at CBIT aiming to crack this interview. So, and thank you to all the teachers who have been supporting us throughout and looked after this entire session. And finally, thank you to the audience for joining us. I'm sure you all learned a lot, and hopefully, most of you will get to meet Anjana at Deloitte too. And I wish everybody all the very best. Thank you.